I've said to the board tonight, my ancestor first came over here to this country in 1620 on a little boat called the Mayflower. Okay? 150 years later, two of my ancestors served in the colonial army as officers fighting against the British. They fought in the War of 1812, they fought in the Civil War, they fought in World War II, and so they basically put their lives on the line to create this Constitution and to protect this Constitution. I can in no way ever say the First Amendment has to go. If you can't handle this day-to-day bigotry, then it's your problem. It is not, in my mind, the responsibility of the government to basically introduce politically correctness to tell people what they can say and they cannot say. This school district for the last 12 years has handled the Confederate flag on a case-by-case basis with no problem. But it's only recently, for some reason, that we suddenly have decided that we have to introduce policies to basically control people's speech. I would suggest what you teach your kids is to hang in there and deal with it.
I really did come here to be an observer, but I feel compelled to speak. This is the first year my children are in the school district, but I grew up here. I didn't go to Saucon Valley, but I grew up in Saucon Valley. I agree with one of the things you said. I do think name calling, some of those things, it's a part of life. You need to learn to deal with it. My kids have come home since the beginning of the year. I have 3. So I've heard a story every week about what was said or what was done. But it's their responsibility to a certain degree to deal with it, to learn to deal with it. It's life. You're going to have it other places. I can't protect them everywhere. They need to learn. But an incident came up about 2 weeks ago where I felt compelled to step in and I had to speak on their behalf because I felt it had gone too far. Now, I agree very strongly in the First Amendment, sir. And I think by trying to make this a First Amendment issue, we're getting away from what's really important. And what the focus here for all of us is to have a community and a place where our children, without being encumbered, without being intimidated, have an opportunity to learn and figure out what their vocation is. Like the gentleman was speaking about VOTEC and some people going to some liberal arts school that you don't think they can get a job from. But they are supposed to be able to come here and pursue that in a carefree and a safe environment. It's practical, and that's what everybody deserves. These teachers shouldn't have to worry about what somebody's intent is. And that's the problem with the flag. I don't have an issue with the flag per se. The issue is intent. Is the use of the flag intended to intimidate, intended to threaten, or is it just another thing? I mean, most of us here saw the Dukes of Hazzard as kids. There was no intimidation or threat. Maybe the show possibly was trying to make a softer edge or take to Southern life and whatever you want to call it, but there was no intent that was harmful. I think what you all have to deal with and address is, and it's difficult because intent is a slippery thing, but you have to deal with the intent. And that is not a violation of the First Amendment by dealing with the intent and making sure that everybody has the same opportunity to learn and to participate equally and unencumbered. There's a difference. And these are where arguments get sideways, is when we take something like the First Amendment and say, because you want to limit something or we need to address an issue, we are taking somebody's First Amendment rights away. We are not. But we do, on both sides of this, need to use some common sense and do what is best for the entire community of children that are going to this school. That's it. It's that simple. So let's get off of the First Amendment stuff, and let's get off of our children are snowflakes and they need to be protected from everything, because they don't. It is not good for them when they move out into the real world. And let's get down to figuring out what is the best thing to do for our children. That's all. Thank you.